Welcome students to this learning session. It is the continuation of the sessions we have been just passing through the previous class in this social professional ethics OSP 102. And for those who are the first, this is the first time to be in this class, may I introduce myself. I'm Alexander Devalema, one of the members of the Department of Sociology and Social Work in the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences. For those who have been together on the previous sessions, let's proceed with this Module 5 in this social professional ethics subject. And today we look into ethics and research in social work. We look into about 4 issues. Just pass through the overview of social work research, and then we look about research in social profession, and just look into the ethical issues in research, because this is the main issue that we are going to discuss about, and just talking at large. And then why ethical issues in research? What should we do? Research is very crucial in social practice. This should be kept into consideration, that research is very important in social practice. Why? Because social practice is one of the evidence-based practice. We need to rely on the information. We need to rely on the right information, the scientific collected information, the scientifically taken data. By doing research, in fact, we need to abide with ethics, because anything can happen when we go against what should be done in research. Social research is not quite different with other social science researches, but this in fact supports what social work is doing. That's we call it social research. There are some issues that are concentrated in social research, other than other social science researches. So, as I've said, doing research requires ethical orientation and consideration. You need to make sure that whatever you collect abide with ethics, abide with the standards, abides with principles in doing research, in collecting data, in involving the participant during the whole exercise. What is social research in social work? What does it do? Why research in social work? Research in social work transforms. It is, what can I say? It helps in transforming help from philanthropy and charity to professionalism. When I say philanthropy, I mean during the older days, in history, social work came from charity, developed from charity, from help, from assisting people, just giving charities, just providing assistances, referring to food, clothes, shelter, just the basic needs of human being. Though by just helping, just providing freely, just doing help, just charity, through churches, and some social organizations, in families, in our communities, and so on. But now, from that kind of philanthropy, providing of services, to charity that is abiding with scientific approaches that we call just transforming from philanthropy to charity professionalism. That's where now social work became a professional, helping profession, because What made it professional because it now considered researching it. It now considered some scientific approaches using. It's now considered basing on the information that was collected scientifically. And also, research in social work is response to the needs and the complexity of the problems. Because earlier, as I said, it was just on charity, just providing help to the people, to the community, to those who were in need. But the problems are just becoming complex in such a way, those kind of the nature of providing services could not just help in solving other problems, including stress, I might say, distress, some other medical complications, health complications, and so on, that could not be solved by just giving charities to people. They needed some more scientific approaches to solve the problems. So that's why research came in such a way, so that to solve some of those complex issues, complex problems of human being. Also, research in social work practice is connected to systematic procedures for diagnosis. Here, when we solve problems, there are some procedures we need to follow. And those procedures of change, we say change processes should be systematic. When we provide the services, and that we tend to change the behavior, we tend to change. Some people just have come to you for their assistance. There are some systematic approaches that we need to follow. So this is what we call scientific approaches. Because systematic approaches, systematic procedures abide with scientific theories, scientific approaches, so as to diagnose well the problem that is related to. Also, research in social work become the source of knowledge in order to solve practical problems. When we research, as we are providing services to our clients, there are some issues, complex issues now with them. So this informs the knowledge base, informs the new skills to be solved. It informs some other approaches to be constructed. That's why research is very important. Now, as I've said, when you do research, you need to abide with some ethical issues, because this is one of where information is sorted for the clients. If ethics is not considered, the goals will not be reached. One of the ethical issues in the research is voluntary participation. There should be voluntarism in participating in research by those participants. I just talk a little bit more in the next slides. And also, we need to abide with informed consent. We need to look into the distress and the harm to participants. Make sure that there are no distress, no harm to the participants. We also need to consider we protect privacy of the respondents. We need to protect the confidentiality of our respondents. We need to protect the privacy of our participants when we conduct the research exercise. And also we need to make sure that there are no scientific fraud in the misconduct. We just look in details in the following slides about fraud and misconduct in research. Also, we need to avoid bias. There are a lot of biases when we are providing services, when we are doing research. So now, what should we do to avoid those biases? In looking to voluntarism participation, here in research, we need to make sure that research is entirely voluntary and that one will be free to discontinue participation at any time. There should be no any coercion, no any force one should volunteer to participate in the research. In doing that kind of volunteerism is where the information will be freely and openly given to you as a researcher. But when you force someone to provide services, in fact, some of the information will be obtained from the participant. So the information should indicate that refusal to participate or decision to withdraw will not result in penalties or loss of benefits, to which the participant is otherwise entitled. We make sure that we accept whatever the client, the participant is responding to us, whether he agrees to participate in the research, whether he refuses to participate in the research. We need to make sure that you accept any response that is given to you as regards to participation in the research. Another ethical issue in research, this way, social research, we say there should be informed consent. In informed consent, there are mainly three issues that we need to look into. One is there should be full disclosure of the nature of the research. When you say full disclosure of the nature of the research, we need to tell your participants what the research is all about, and who will benefit from that research, who will be involved. Everything that is concerned with that research should be well informed to the client. And then another thing is you provide participants with sufficiently detailed information of the study so that they can make an informed, voluntary, and rational decision to participate. Because when the informed is not well disclosed, in fact, no one will will accept your request to participate in the research. Also, we need to consider the consent is provided before proceeding with the study, because having provided the information to the client, having provided the information to the participant, you need to make sure that your participant are to proceed with their participation into that research. If that is not provided, you don't need to proceed with that participant. You expect to include in your research. Now make sure that you inform and the consent is given to you. The information of the consent also should be, just to elaborate more about the information, what should be contained in the consent, the purpose of the study. As I've said, you need to tell you what it's all about. Why is that a study? What is expected of the duration? For how long will that study take? For how long will you participate? Your participant will just be involved in that research. The time duration. And also, you need to see the procedure of the study. In fact, your participant should know what should be the procedures. What is he going to be involved in? Also, the information on their rights to decline or withdraw should be clearly made. You need to make sure that your participants is well informed about accepting or rejecting your proposal. Also, foreseeable consequences of withdrawing or declining. Of course, sometimes you need to make clear the consequences that will happen if at all something, the participants will withdraw or decline. This goes with the essence of the research so far. This goes with the benefits of the research, because you don't force the participant to participate in your research, but you just show the benefit of participation. The gains that will be that the client will have after participating in your research. Also, the potential risk, discomfort, and adverse effects. This goes with what I've said, just foreseeing the consequences of withdrawing, declining the proposal. Also, the prospective research benefits. I've said earlier, we need to make clear that what will be the benefits, the success, the gains when someone will participate in the research. And then that also engaging others in your research. Also, the incentives such as payment or rewards also should be clear. Is it just voluntary? Is there anything that should be provided as far as incentive is concerned? Will you pay when you just get the information from, you seek the information from the participant? Is there any reward? Those issues should be made clear before you engage someone to participate in your research. Also, whom to contact for cautions, because when you are being a participant, you are the one who will have the direct contact with the participants. And otherwise, if you are not the one, you need to provide the information of whom the information will be provided to on behalf of you for the benefit of the researcher doing. Another thing regarding the ethics in social research is there should be no harm or distress to participants. You will make sure that you inform the participants of anything that the client will face regarding the harm or distress, but make sure that you don't harm, you don't distress the participants. There are three issues I've just raised. One is any research activity should by any means not harm the participant. Should by any means not provide any harm to the participants, because you expect information from the participants, and the information that will help you reach the intended goal, the objective of your research. Now, if at all your participants is by any means get harmed, in fact, this will affect the outcome of the research. Also, the rights and privacy of the participants should be protected. In fact, they deserve, they expect it. They need to be protected of their rights. They need to be respected. The participants should be respected, should be taken into respect, dignity. And here, we should observe those social values so far. Another one is participants should not be distressed during after the exercise. I've said there are distresses that can happen in the process, but also after the collection of all the information, sometimes the outcome of your research may harm the participants. Now, make sure that you should not harm, distress the participants during the process or after the information, after the research, during the results of your exercise. Another thing, you should protect the privacy of the respondents. Protecting the privacy of the respondents, I would say participants in the research. We need to control over the extent towards sharing of one's physical, behavioral, and intellectual affairs or acts to others. Let me make it clear. We have two things here. We have got privacy, we have got confidentiality. Now, privacy is concerned about the people's affairs. But confidentiality just is concerned about the data that will be collected. Now, protecting the privacy of respondents, we need to control to the extent towards sharing one's information on physical, behavioral, and intellectual affairs. Secondly, You need to extend to access information about the research participants and share for research use and not otherwise. The access to information, you need to make sure that the access to information is for the research that is intended and not otherwise. The information that is taken should not be used in other issues apart from the research that is intended. Also, the consent should be sought for any disclosure of such information. In any situation that you need to disclose one's information, you need to make sure that you seek the consent from the source, from the owner of that information. And if not, the consent is not sought, not any information should be shared either. Protecting from confidentiality of the respondent is you treat the information. Is treatment of emotion disclosed by research participants that no one will have access to it without prior permission from the owner. As I've said, confidentiality is about data, is about information. So the treatment of the information should just mean for the research that is intended. And the participants should be informed of any information that will be taken from him and the security of the information that is taken. So that this will make sure, this will help the client, your respondent, to provide the information, the right information that you need from the participant. Also, in any disclosure of the information obtained, consent from the participant should be obtained. That's it, I've said it, that consent is very important when one needs to get information, to disclose information that is taken from the participants. So, confidentiality should be observed. This is all about data, and consent is vital so that the information taken is shared to the intended research. Now, how do we do to maintain privacy and confidentiality? One, we should remove the identifiable data and information. Also, for any disclosure of information, care should be taken to reduce risk and harm. Also, we should seek legal permission. Also, observe ethical requirements, and we should seek consent from the research participants. This we should maintain. When we look onto maintaining privacy and confidentiality, we need to make sure that we remove the identifiable. What we mean identifiables, there are some maybe names, any information, personal information from the client that is taken, and then to make you just maintain the privacy, you should not disclose the names and the other issues that are related to social ethics, research ethics. Also, there should be no scientific fraud or misconduct. When we say scientific misconduct, we mean there should be no plagiarism. Plagiarism is taking one's work without acknowledging the source. You just copy the work of your colleague, the work from other research that has been written, the work from other studies, and then you use as your own without acknowledging the source. That is plagiarism, and this is total misconduct in research. Another thing is your falsification of the data. Sometimes you fail to get the right data, and then you could the information. You make the data, you just create your own information, and then you just put in your study, and you just publish and say this is the right information, while it is not the right information. You just cooked, you just created your own problem and the answers, and then you put in your study, and then you give us back the results. This is also a misconduct in research. Sometimes the irresponsible authorship, you should not make sure that, you should not show that the work you have done you own if it has been taken from others' studies, others' work. As I've said, plagiarism is one of the misconduct, and you should and you must acknowledge the source, whether from the book, for the person that has sent that information. Any source that you take the information, you need to acknowledge that this is not my own, but this has been taken from someone else. You can add some information in regards to what you have just taken from your field, but supported with the others that have done that in maybe similar studies, or the same information that you need, that will help you in your study. Also, violation of ethical standards in research. There are some ethical standards that should be observed. As a social worker, you make sure that those ethical standards are considered, ethical principles are considered. And now we look into those values. We need to look into ethical practice principles. We have just mentioned in the previous, and you can just go in the notes and read and see what you say ethical standards. Those should be observed in conducting research. Fabrication of data and the results. I've said sometimes you may fabricate the data, and at the same time you give us the results. All the process will be wrong. The whole process will be false. That will say null and void, because the data have been fabricated, and then it's obvious the results will be also wrong. This is total misconduct. This is a scientific fraud when we are doing research. Research bias. So when we are doing research, there are some biases that we are doing in making decisions. And this is when it's just happening when we are collecting information from our respondent. There are two main biases. One is from the respondent, another is from the researcher. Let's start with the respondent. What are the biases that you should be observed? One is acquiescence. This is the tendency to agree whatever the moderator says. Sometimes the respondent just is waiting for you to say something, and then he agrees whatever is said by the moderator. Whatever question you ask, the respondent says yes. When you say no, he says no. This is a bias. Never force the respondent to respond to whatever you know. Let him be free to react to the question that you are giving, so that you may get the right information. Sometimes there is also another bias, which is about social desirability. This is about answering questions to please the moderator. Sometimes you may ask, someone may be tired of the questions. He just wants you to just quit. Now, he just answers whatever question you are asking so as to please you. Now, this, at the end of the day, you get very wrong information, because the respondent was just giving the answers just to please the moderator, and then to exercise to just end in that way. Another bias is habituation. Habituation is about providing same answers in questions that seem to be of the similar nature. There are some questions that you design maybe seem to have the same information, though there are some differences, but is danger to the participants, because at the end of the day, it may give you the same information given, because taking for granted that this question has already been asked, this information I just provided. So if I provide the information, I just answer, because this is all it's about. And the information, I mean, the content of the question is almost the same. Another bias, respondent's bias, is responser. There are some responses that they just look who is seeking the information, from which organization this information is needed. And then they say, I mean, they just feel of getting provided, getting awarded, being funded, being paid, and the vice versa is true. When if they feel that there is no any payment, there is no any reward, this may affect the results, may affect the responses that will be given. So the sponsorship also may affect the information that is given from the clients and that's given from the participants, that it should be given from the respondents. Another angle of the bias is from the researcher. There are 5 of them. One is confirmation. Confirmation is on judging or weighing the responses that confirm the hypothesis as being relevant or reliable. When you confirm, researcher should be very careful not judging the responses that are given by participants. And then you make that this is okay, and this is no. You leave any information given up to the end of the analysis. You should not make judgment when you are getting the information. Another issue is on culture. Assumptions about influences based on our culture lens. Sometimes we make assumptions depending on the culture. We say we have what we call stereotype, and prejudging based on the culture, based on what we know about one's culture, based on what we know about some societies, some tribes, and so on. This may affect the responses, may affect your responses, may affect the data you just were collecting. You judge, you think certain information will be given from a certain respondent, which is sometimes may be wrong. You should not have prior information in your head. You need to take the information you are given from the participant, regardless of culture, regardless of tribe, of race, state, and so on. Another thing is on question order. One question can influence another to the subsequent questions. When you are the series of questions, in fact, one question may affect another. So make sure when you construct your questions, it should not bring about confusion. One can make, as I said, in the respondent's bias or the arbitration. Someone may say, this information I just given. No. The question should not be in the order that may distort what is intended. Also, leading questions. They're putting words in the respondent's mouth. Sometimes you ask questions that you need a certain information taken from the client. Sometimes the respondent will not be free to give the information. He gives the information that you are asking based on what you need. Yes, we say, there is the information that is needed, should be guided, should be focused. But some leading questions may lead to not getting what is intended. So in constructing questions, the researcher should be very careful. Another thing is what we call the halo effect. The halo effect is what I've said in the cultural part, that prejudgment. You take issues for granted. Never take issues for granted when you are doing research, when you need to get information from the participants, because this may affect the results. What should we do in avoiding the bias? One, we should not let the participants to agree to whatever is said by the moderators. You should not force the participant to agree with whatever you are saying. No. Make sure that there is freeness in providing information from the participants. And secondly, make sure that answers provided not please the moderator. You should not expect pleasant questions from your participants, because not always pleasant questions will lead to the intended results. So be careful whatever the answers you are just receiving from your participants. Whether they are pleasant or not pleasant, whether they help you to reach what you intend. Sometimes you may get answers that do not take you to what you intended to hear from them. You just accept the answers, and then during the analysis, you just make analysis, and then you reach the intended objective. Avoid habituation in responding to the questions that seems to be of the similar nature. When you construct questions, make sure that they are not of the similar, everything is similar. Make sure that the differences between the questions, not even they are of the similar content, but the construction of the sentence should differ to avoid habituation. And then make sure that judging the responses do not reject the important of the data. You should not make prejudging. You should judge the responses before making analysis, because any information you are getting is important and can help you meet the intended goal. Also, avoid the influence of culture on the data provided. When you have the pre-information, you have the stereotyping about certain culture, pride, state, and so on. It can affect your data that you are just receiving just getting from your respondents, from your participants. So, not be biased on one's culture, on one's state, on one's race, and so on. Beware of reading questions, as I've said before, when you construct sentences, and when you are asking the question, which is just an interview, maybe, and then you ask one question, and then you pose another question. Sometimes reading questions may distort sometimes the question when they're asked, when care is not taken in constructing the questions, in asking the questions that will lead to what you intend to get. To summarize what I've just said, we have the research in social work profession, and in research profession we said social work is crucial, is very essential in social work practice, because we rely on the information, the right information, so that we can provide the right service to the client. Any information that is brought to you, if it is wrong, the outcome will be also wrong. So make sure that you get the information that is right. When you're providing help to the client, you need to assess to get what is needed by the client. And then that will inform of what approach should be taken to solve the problem that is presented to you. And then we have seen why research in social work is profession important. I've just said because this will inform the practice. This is where the theories are constructed. This is where new approaches are made. So the research informs the practice, and the research shapes the profession. And then we have just seen ethical issues in research, including those just mentioned 5, the voluntary participation. That participation should be voluntary, should not force the participant to provide information. Consent should be sought. Also, make sure that there is no harm or distress to the participants who are just providing the information. And then make sure that you provide security. You provide any protection that is needed for any information that is brought to you. and the data that is put to you, and the participant himself or herself. And then make sure that privacy and the confidentiality is taken into account, because we need to make sure that no any information is disclosed to other um, parties who are not involved in the research intent. We have just seen also the biases, and these biases of fact affect the data, affect the information. So make sure that you don't be biased. You need to make sure that the questions that are asked, the questions that are constructed, the people that are involved in the research lead to what the research intend to get as a result. And then we've seen what to do is what I've mentioned, make sure that you abide with ethical principles, social work ethical standards, social work values, social work principles in doing the research. I leave you with some review questions, 2 questions. One is, social work profession can never be separated with research. We discuss. Social work profession can never be separated with the research. We discuss. And the second question for your review is, show practical effect of not observing ethical issues in research by social work practitioners. This is the end of this session, of this module. Thank you for listening. Goodbye. Meet you in the next session.